Welcome guys, welcome to this video. This is a complete Laravel course in single video, and we are going to cover a lot of grounds here. I hope you have the understanding of PHP, and for this course we are going to cover so many topics, so let's have a look. So here first we are going to install the Laravel project and create it on a virtual host. Then we are going to see the routing. We are going to see the routes. We have an MVC framework here, so we are going to see what's the flow here. We are going to check migrations and database. We are going to work with Laravel Linquent. We are going to see Accessor and Mutators, how to use them. We are going to create blade files in Laravel project. We are going to enable the Laravel debugging using some Laravel packages. We are going to use app config. We are going to see how it is configured. We are going to see uploading of images. We are also going to check about the creating directories and cleaning the temp files. We're going to authenticate the user. We're going to see flash sessions, and also we are going to create components. Now we are going to use some best practices here so that we don't repeat ourselves dry in practice. And also we are going to use the validation in our data wherever possible. And the end of this course, in this video, we are going to create a book management project. So let's discuss about that project. In this project, we are going to display the books with images. We're going to show it with the Laravel pagination. In this project, we are going to use Bootstrap 5. Main concern of the project is going to be Laravel, not the Bootstrap, as we are working with Laravel here. We're going to work on show, edit, delete functionality in this project. We're going to see dynamic routing, route model binding, naming routes, also validating the form input. We're going to see file validation as well. So user can only upload images, not any other type of file. We will see uploading files. We are going to use resource routes, so that it's going to be very useful. We're going to see middleware. We're going to authenticate user to reach the dashboard where a user can add a new book. We're going to use Laravel logs to catch errors. We are going to use components. We are also going to see file management, so we will be clearing the old files before getting new ones. We are going to see dry in practice, as I discussed before. We are going to check the Laravel relationship, and we are going to install the Laravel package for this project. Now, creating a project and video like this takes a lot of time and efforts. I do request you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, share with others. Your feedback matters a lot, so you can comment in the comment section. We are going to create this book management system here. This is a small system for now. There are books. You click on each book, you get the detail of that book. And if you see that we are getting the data based on page here, it is different. If I go to home page, it's different here. We have login system as well. Now here we have pagination to note. It's working just fine here. Now if I go to the admin page, home page, it asks for login. If I click dashboard, it keep on asking me login. It won't allow user to go in. So if I log in here, then we get the dashboard. Now in dashboard we have the option to update, delete, and create a new book. We can create a new book here. We just need to pass the image, and we can pass all the detail. We have the validation as well, so we are setting validation on each field here. Now we are also deleting, so before deleting we ask if the user is sure to delete it. And we also have pagination set here as well. Now here, one more thing to notice here is that we are getting the author name using Laravel relationships, so we are going to check that as well. We are going to also check the mutators and accessors as we are updating the time to human readable format. You can see that here. And yeah, basically it. So we will be working with this small project, and we're going to clear all the basics of Laravel one by one, including this project. We need a local cell first of all, so for that we say XAMPP here and go to the XAMPP website. Now here you can look for your operating system. If you're using Windows, you can get from here. I'm using Mac OS. For more versions, we can click here, and here you can see the details. If you want to check what exactly is the detail about each package, you can click on it, what's included. Here you can see that we are working with PHP 8.0.11. Now for downloading it, we can download here. Just click this. It is going to give us the DMG, and we can save the file. It's going to take some time here. In my case, I got the DMG file, which is expected. And if you are getting a zip file, in that case, sometimes it gives the problem doing the extraction. So if you face that issue, you can do this. You can go into more downloads, and in more downloads, it will take you to this website. Here you can select the operating system. I select Mac OS. Then you select the version. In latest, it's 8.0.11. And there we have the installer, so you can download from here just in case you face any issue. Now, as I have the download installer here, I'm just going to run it. Yeah, here is the installer. It lost system password, so I add the system password here. Just click next, and now it's going to take some time, so let it install. Alright, we have the installer installed and it's asking for launch, but I'm not going to launch it right now. I want to share a post with you. So here I have enable virtual host and Mac or book. You can use this if you have a Mac OS system. If you have a Windows, you can check the link in the description for the both of for this post, and for the Windows, it's in the description. Now, if you're using XAMPP, you're going to follow this step here. So if you see here, it says go to XAMPP etc extra. So if I go to directory, so in application, we need to go to XAMPP. After installation, it creates this directory. In here, we have the etc folder, and then we have extra folder. And there we need to open this vhosts file. So I'm going to open this file with Sublime. Now I have few virtual hosts already set up. So what we need to do, I'm just going to copy one here. You can copy this from here. It's given in the post. So let's copy from here instead. So I'm just going to copy from here and go into the Sublime text. And here I'm just going to go and paste right there. Now what I need to do, I need to give it a name. So for this project, I'm going to call it, let's call it the project. So as it's a Laravel project, we need to say public as well, as the index.php is inside public folder. So here I'm gonna say project. And here I'm going to copy and paste project and public. Okay, I'm going to save this. When I save the file, I can close this file now. The second step we need to do is go into the private directory. So let's do that. And here it takes us to this directory. Now if you notice here, it is mentioned you will need to go in etc folder and the hosts file. So I go there, etc folder, and hosts file using Sublime again. And here I already have a few virtual hosts set up, so I'm just gonna add one more. So we added project this time, so project.tests, and then I'm gonna save this. Pass a password, it saves it. Now there's a final step. Step 3, we need to go this directory, and we need to update this file. We need to uncomment this line. So let's do that. So here I go. Now here we need to go in XAMPP and XAMPP files. So I go applications, XAMPP, and then there XAMPP files. Here then we need to go etc, and we need to look for this file. Now here, I'm gonna fit it to the screen. Now as the post suggests, we need to look for vhost.config. So I'm just gonna copy this vhost from here and I'm going to search for this keyword here. So here currently you can see that I do not have hash here in front of it. It's removed already. You might see hash, so just remove that and save it. So like this, it should be like this, because hash makes it comment, so we don't want it commented. So here I'm just going to cross it now, and this is, it shows here that convert this to this. Now once it is done, just restart the XAMPP and all is set. So we can do that. So let's do that. So alright, these all are running now. So what I can do, simply go to browser, and there we need to say project.test. And it is giving us the access forbidden, and this is desirable because currently we don't have anything there. So let's go to the directory. Now here in application, XAMPP, htdocs. If you see, we don't have the directory name project, so we need to create a project here. So for that, I'm going to go to Laravel. Now when you go to Laravel, just click documentation, and here we have the installation. We are going to select the latest one, 8.x, and here we can simply go to the create project. So here when we want to create a project, we are going to use Composer for it. And if you don't know how to, or you don't have Composer installed, you can follow this video. Now here I have this Composer command. I'm just going to copy this, and here we need, for working here, we need to go in terminal. So I open terminal, and I need to navigate to the XAMPP folder. So cd dash dash, it's going to take me to the main directory. I say clear to clear the screen. Here if I say ls, I see the applications folder, so I can go inside it, cd applications, and then inside it we have XAMPP folder, and then htdocs folder. So we can see that I'm there already. If I ls here, currently we don't have project folder, so here I'm just gonna paste the command. Now this command is saying use Composer, create a project. It's a Laravel project, and this is the name of this project. So we want to change the name, as we have project already defined. So we have project.test, so it is expecting project field folder, and here I create that, then hit return. It's going to create the project for us. So it says adding here. Alright, project folder is created. If I say ls here, we can see that project is there. So we can cd change directory and go to project. Now I'm in project. If I say ls here, you will see that I have all the project files. So we can see in here as well, project, and you can see the same files are showing up here. Now if I go to here and refresh, we get the error from Laravel, which is also again good, because we have our application there now. Now this is basically permission denied, so we need to run a command. Generally in macOS you might have to do it again and again sometimes. So sudo chmod minus capital R and 777. Now 777 is not desirable on server, but on your local system you can give it, it's fine. Here we need to give it to storage directory, because there this issue is happening. So we go there and put here. So here we are saying sudo basically gives the admin privileges. Then we're saying the change mod, and we want to change for all recursively inside storage folder, and storage folder we want to set permission to 777. So hit return, it asks password, and we provide the password, go back there and refresh. We have our project up. Now this is the default screen when you get. Now what are we going to do? We are going to use the Visual Studio for the code editor. You can go for Visual Studio Code. It is completely free. Just go there and download from this website. You can download it for your operating system, whichever you have. The link is also in the description. Now I already have it installed, so I'm just going to open it. It's going to fit in here. Now we need to open our project here, so I cross this in here, open folder. We need to go for application, XAMPP, htdocs, and the project folder. We need to select it, open it here. And here, just across the welcome screen again, we have our project here. Now we need to install a few plugins. So here, if you click extensions, here, just expand it a bit. Simply type Laravel. You will see blade snippets, and you need to install these. Laravel Artisan. So if you click on these, I have these installed already. You can see that there. It says uninstall. So you can read the description, what this does and how it works. Basically, these are going to give you the syntaxes and also going to give you some functionality to make your project easy. I use these, it is totally preference based what you want to do. And for example, this go to controller, you can go to controller by clicking on the name of the controller. So those kind of things that can be helpful. So if you want to, you can check these and can install accordingly. So let's proceed. I'm going to cross this now here and go to file system. Now here is the Laravel directory for the default project. So let's discuss what we have here. So here first we have app folder, and here inside you will see console. So if we are going to define any commands, artisan commands, we will define here. So if I open this kernel, we have kernel.php, and you can see here we have some artisan commands, something related to that. We are not covering this in this video, so we are going to close this folder. So for your information, we can define commands here. For exceptions, we have this folder. Exceptions we use when we want to catch errors. And here we are going to see the example while we were working on the code. Here in HTTP folder, we have controllers folder. Currently there is controller.php. We don't have any other controller here right now, but we are going to create few in this directory. So in MVC model view controller, this is the controller folder where we are going to work. We have middleware. Middleware basically going to check and authenticate user. If user is authenticated, then they're going to let that user do whatever user tries to do. So here middleware does that, all the middlewares here. So we can close this directory. We have models. In model view controller, this is the model. So we can navigate or talk to the database using model. And so this is the directory for models. When you define a new model, that goes here. Now we have providers. There are some app service provider and some other providers. We will see these when we work with the project. Basically some settings and some additional functionality we can add using these. And some functionality is already defined here. So here you can see that register any application service. So we might use the boot method. We'll see it. For now it might create confusion, so don't want to get into this providers folder that much. Now we can close the app folder. Then we have Bootstrap folder. We are not going to touch it for now. Just it has the cache and nothing much. And for production or for development, you won't be touching it or doing anything in there for the most part. Now then we go to config. Now in config we have the configuration for about so many things. For app you have configuration, you have the name of your application. It is getting from env file. Env file is the environment file, and there is this variable app name. There it says Laravel. So this env file you can get in the main directory outside of the zone folder .env, and there is this app name, so it's getting from there. So all kind of configurations you can see here. We have auth file, and there are some settings defined. When the project goes on, so one by one you will see few of these things in this video, but as you more explore Laravel, you will see more. As you can see, we have for queues, we have for services, for sessions, for database, where we have the database defined here, default MySQL. If you want to change it, you need to define it here. So that's something when you be dealing with some of the database, you might want to change here. So yeah, for now, we are not going to touch. So yeah, I'm closing this file and closing this folder. Now let's talk about database folder. This one is important one. When we get the factories basically allow us to create some dummy data. So for our project, we will be creating few dummy data and going to use the factories. Migrations, if you open this, and you will see that create personal token access table. So you can see that it's by name says create table. So it's going to create tables in database. So it's very useful as well. And then we get seeder. The seeder is going to seed the data into the database tables. So we will be using these two. And I'm going to close this folder now. Now we get public folder. Public folder is something where you can put some files that you're going to access repeatedly or you're going to use in your project. Let's say CSS file, you can create an asset folder here, and then you can put CSS folder inside it and can use it. Using a Laravel function, you can access to this directory and then you can use those files. So we generally use asset folder inside here. I close the public folder, then we get the resources. Here we have CSS and JS. Now these we are not going to touch for now. If you'll be working with the Vue.js, then you'll be using these JS folder. We'll be creating the components here, but now we are not going to do it in this video. Then we have the views. In Vue we have currently welcome.blade. Views are the blade files where we get all the view. View basically is the file that displays model view controller. So these are the views. So you see the page, and this is the view file that is displaying this content. So if I go here and I make any change to this file, let's say if I delete everything and save this file and go back and refresh, you can see it's white now. So that is all coming from there. So I revert it back, go back there, refresh, it comes back. So we will change it. Now I close this resources. Then we have routes. Here we are going to define the routes. We have 4 files basically, and 2 most concerned. Web, for our application, we'll be defining routes. Here already have 1 route. So when we are going to start to work with our application, we will be defining more route here. So we can say that if you're creating a route for blog, you might want to say /blog. So if user goes here, then this is the file name which should be responsible to display the output. Currently we have welcome.blade here, so we are straight away calling it. If we have a folder name, then we will put the folder name and then dot and then the name of the file. But as we have welcome dot in the main file there, so we are not putting it there. So this is how the routes work. We have api.php. Here we write the routes for the APIs. You can see that we have middleware also working here. There's this route, default route given for user. But we are not going to work on APIs, so basically we will be adding the routes here in web.php. One simple thing is that here we are calling welcome here, it says welcome.blade.php. So here in Laravel, we have to name all the view files with .blade.php extension. That's how it works in Laravel Blade engine. So other than routes, we have storage. In storage, we basically you can store data. Now if we are going to work with logs, we have logs file here, so it's in Laravel logs, get saved here. Now we have Debugbar for basically for the configuration and other settings. We have app folder, and so basically you will be in case you want to work with storage and want to store your data here, then you will be dealing with it. In general and normal application, public folder is the best suitable folder for saving data, as you will not face any kind of permission issues and you don't have to link your folders and this is something that we are going to see in the coming videos. In the later on process of creating project. But for now, the main thing is above route and route included. These folders are the more used folders we will be working with when we're working with the project. We have here tests. This is basically for testing your app, unit testing and feature testing if you are familiar with it. And we have vendor, and this is basically all the libraries installed by Composer, so we will not be touching it. Then we have the .env file. Here you can set up your database name or any other configuration you want to just set. So if you are getting data from some API, you might want to put the credentials here, like we have here: pusher API, app ID, app key, app secret. So if you want to work with it, you will be putting details here. Other than that, we have here the composer JSON, .gitignore. These are the configuration files. .ignore for your GitHub if you want to push, you want to ignore a few files to be getting included in your commit. If you're not familiar with these things, it's totally fine, because mainly we are going to work for the routes, resources, and then in the app folder. Now we will be working with database initially because we need to put some data into database. And I also forgot to tell you about node modules. This also includes all the libraries. So whenever you use and install any library using npm command, it is going to store here. So we are not going to touch anything because those libraries are pre-defined, written. We're just going to call those libraries in our application. So yeah. Now there is this composer.json. When you click this, you can see that which version of PHP it is using, which packages you have installed. We have Tinker installed, we have Laravel UI installed, Guzzle installed. So this is you can check the Laravel framework version your application having, so you can see that we are using 8.54 at this point. So that is, so when you install any new command, any new package of Composer, it is going to include here in this file. So we have few packages installed here, a Faker library for generating the data, dummy data. So this is something important to know. You will need to explore it in later stage. For initial stage, I think, and this is enough to know that your packages, whatever packages you install, you can see here the versions, and if you need to update them, you can check. So for example, if this version is 2.5 and we need to update it, so we can check that. You can check like your version is latest or it is outdated, or you need to update it or not. At this point, we need to have a login and register page for user. And if I go to the documentation, there is a package for it we can use. Composer require Laravel UI. It is going to basically generate the scaffolding required. So we can have the Bootstrap scaffolding in our case. So what I do, I'm going to run these commands one by one. So I go and open the terminal. Now first command we need is the Composer require Laravel UI. I put that, and it is going to install it. Once it is installed, we can run this command, and this is php artisan UI bootstrap -- auth. I hit that. Now you can see it says authentication scaffolding generated. And if you go back to the project, you will see that in web.php we have new routes. For authentication, we have few routes here, as well as for the -home, which is basically for the dashboard. Now if I go to the views directory here, you can see we have auth folder, where we have folder passwords, we have login, register, verification, blade files. So this is basically when we ran this command, it is putting all the files which are required for authentication. So that is done by this, and that is very important. Now I'm going to run two more commands. These commands are going to change the Bootstrap version. If it is 4, it is going to completely change it to Bootstrap 5, and we need to have the latest version of Bootstrap. These commands are in description as well, you can check from there. Now once you're all done, we can, now for compiling the changes, we need to run this command npm install and npm run dev to see the changes in the web page. So it's going to take some time, and I'm going to compile everything. So you can see that it compiled successfully. You see the project here, we also got login and register page. Now run the command for migration. For running migrations, basically migration is going to create a table in our database, but we need to configure the database, which database we are using. So I go here in .env environment file. Here we have db database name, db username, and db password. Here we are saying Laravel. I'm going to change it to project, and username is root. Password needs to be empty for now. I'm gonna save this, cross this. Now if I go to the browser, in phpMyAdmin we can create a table name project, and it's here. Now we are all set for running migration command. So for that, what we need to do, we need to say here, first I'm going to say clear and php artisan migrate, and it creates a few tables for us. So if I go back and refresh, we get users table, personal access token, password reset, migrations, failed jobs. So here basically we have users table where we are going to have all the users. If any job fails, that detail I'm going to save here. We have migration. Whenever you run any migrate command, it saves here. Commands, these command ran. So you can see that first migration ran, second this file. So these are done. If you run php artisan migrate again, these files are not going to run again, because migration command, this command php artisan migrate first checks if there is it is in the migration table. If it is in there, it doesn't run that particular migration. Alright, so what we do now, as we have the authentication routes already, we already have the view files. Also, if we go to the controller, main controllers, we have auth controllers already present. You can see confirm, forget password, login controller, register controller. These are all generated by that command. We have home controller for dashboard. This is also generated by that. And yeah, so let's do this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a model. So we are going to build a project of book management. So they're going to be books and they're going to be authors. So first I'm going to work with authors. So here what I do, I simply say PHP, or what I do first, I clear the screen, then I say PHP artisan make model. Now when we create a model, we pass the model name, I say author, and what we want to do, I want to say -a. Now what -a will do, it is going to generate for us a model, a controller, a migration, a seeder, a factory, as well as a policy. And we are going to explore these files one by one. If it is getting confused right now, don't worry. When we are going to work with these files, everything is going to get clear. We're gonna add -r. It is going to basically add some default functions in the controller file, and I'm going to show you how it works. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna run this command, and you can see it generated a model, a factory. It created a migration file for us. We have a seeder, we have a controller file, and the policy. Now if I go to the directory here, first we go to database migration. We have authors table migration. So let's do that one by one, explore it, and one by one add the details. So here I open this file. Now what I want is, I want to add author details in this table. And author going to have a name basically, and nothing more than that. So I'm gonna have table, and I would say it is going to be type string, and we are going to pass a name. Now if you want to limit the length, you can pass the second parameter as length. So if you pass 150, that's going to be the limit. So this is a migration now, and if you run this, it is going to create a table with the name of authors, and it's going to have ID, name, and created underscore add and updated underscore add 2 fields. So yeah, this is what it's going to be. Now we need to go into the model of this file. So let's do that. We go into models, author. Here we are going to define the fields. So let me first run the migration one more time. So I go back here, migrate. You can see that create author table, migrate. Now we go here and we have authors. Now we have fields here. You can see ID, name, created underscore add, updated underscore add. Now we need to add these 3 fields as fillable in the model so that we can mass assign whenever. So whenever we put multiple data or mass assign the data to this table, it inserts without any problem. So here we say protected, and it's going to be $fillable, and they're going to be field name, then created underscore add, and also updated underscore add. We created migration, we created the fillable in the model. These 2 things are done. If I go in controller, I'll see author controller. Now controllers should be named plural, not singular. So I'm going to change this to authors. And as you change the name here, you need to change the class name as well. So I pass authors. Now we see this class here. We have 2 functions, index, create, store. Now these came because we ran the command with -r at the end. So this is the resource, and it added the resource function. So you can see display a listing of the resource. So it added some default function, and we will be using these. So this is done. Now what we need to do, we need to add some dummy content. So for that we need to go into the factory. So for factory, I'm going to close this and gonna go in the database, factories. We have author factory, and here we're going to define few rules. So we have a field name, and we want to generate some dummy names for authors. So I'm going to pass that field name here. Then I'm going to say okay, $this, and we are calling faker library, and then we are calling generate few names for us. So we pass name. Now I add a semicolon. It's going to be comma because it's an array, so be careful about that. Now it is going to basically generate the names. Now the faker library basically generates dummy data. We can generate names, emails, addresses. So you can check about that. The link is in the description. What data you can generate, you can check there. But for now, we generating names, so it's totally fine for us. Now to work with these, we need to go into the seeder file because just by calling it here, it's not going to work. So we need to go in seeder, and there is author seeder, and here we have our own method. Here what we are going to do, we are going to call the model, author model, and we are going to say factory, and we want to generate 10 authors. So I pass 10 and I say create. Alright, now I collapse this here. We don't have the author included, so include the author on top because this model needs to be included. App, models, and then author. Alright, save this. Now to work with this seed, we need to include the seeder file in database seeder. So we need to do that. I go here, and here I simply I'm gonna say $this call, and we are going to call author seeder, and it's a class. All right, let's review one more time. So we created a factory. We said, okay, we need to generate dummy names. Generate for us. We provided the name going to be used the faker library in here. Now this is done inside the author factory. So we go inside author seeder. Here we call the author model and we use the factory to generate 10 records. We say create. Now to work with the seeder file, we need to include a seeder file in database seeder file here. So we include it here. So it is calling it basically. Now you can see that Laravel by default passed here an example as well. We are doing it more neat way. We already created a separate file to do this job that is done here. So it is just going to make things separate. Otherwise it's going to be a lot of seed codes here if you will do directly here. So once you're doing this portion is done, what we can do, we can go into the project. Here we are going to run migrate, but this time I say fresh. And what fresh going to do, it is going to delete all the data and tables and going to create again. Then I say -- seed, and then what this is going to do, it is going to seed the this dummy data that is going to be generated. So let's see. So you can see that here we have the migrating tables. So it created the table, then here seeding, it seeded the data. So if I go to the database, refresh. Now if I go to authors, you will see there are authors. So these are some dummy authors. Number of authors are 10, as we mentioned in the seeder file to generate 10 records. And it generated just like that 10 records. So you might think, why I'm generating it here, why not we are adding these one by one? We are going to do that, but for starting point I want to display some data, and then we are going to add data and edit data as well, because if we are going to add a number of authors ourselves, it's going to consume a lot of time that I don't want to waste anyone's time here. So what I want to do here, I'm also want to create another model which is going to be for books, because that's going to be book management and we want to work with that. So here what I do is simply go to the file here, terminal, I say clear, and this time we can just go back for the same command. Here I'm going to call, instead of author this time, books. So I call book and run this. Same way all the files are generated. What I do, I close these files because we need to open those files. So if I go here, first of all we need a table in our database, so we have create books table. Now here we need to add a few fields. So let's think what we might need in books table. We need a book title, we need a cover, we need price, we need the detail about the books. So let's add. So as a table, the first thing I want is title. So it's going to be string. And I say let's have title of max length 100. Then I say $table. And then I say medium text. Medium text. And I'm going to pass here content as the name of this field. And I forgot quotes, so I need to put in there. Alright, $table. Now here I say string, and I want to pass cover. So we need an image for book, so I pass cover as a name. Now the thing is, I want to have author ID, and if you remember, we created an author table here. So currently we don't have the books table but author table, so we need to have a foreign key in this case in our books table. So what I do is say $table, and it's going to be unsigned big integer, and it's going to be author ID. Alright, now we want this field to be a foreign key, so I pass here author_ID, and then I say here author ID references to ID, and made a mistake here, and then we pass the table name on authors table. So you're saying basically author ID in the books table is referencing to the ID of authors table. Now here I'm going to say table because we need the price. I want to have it float, and I'm going to pass price here. Now the another thing is the year published, so I'm going to have that field. So table, and I say here integer, and it's going to be year underscore published. Okay, for now I think these much fields are enough, so we can have this table. What I do, I see if the migration file is working correctly. I run the migration command, and you can see it created the table. If I go to the database and refresh, here we have books. If I go to structure, you can see that we have all these fields. Noticeable is we have a key here, which is a foreign key now for author, and it is going to reference to authors table ID. Alright, so as we expecting, it is working. Now we need to have some dummy data in our books. So we don't have any book currently, so let's add books, some dummy books. So I go to book factory, and in book factory we are going to go and define functions just the same way. Previously we added name, this time we added title. And what I want to do, I want to set all this, call to faker again, and I'm going to say, okay, generate random text of max length 25. Alright, now second thing I want is content. So there's going to be some content about the book, and we can have some text there, faker, and then we say text. I say max length 2000, and not semicolon, it's going to be comma as it is array. Here then I say author ID. Now author ID, if you remember in the database table, when I go to authors, yeah, there is 1 to 10. So we need to have 1 to 10, not more than that. So what I do, I say here render function, and it is going to generate a number from 1 to 10. We are passing the range here. So now we say here price, and in price we are going to pass again $days faker, and then I say random digit. Alright, comma, then we need to go here for cover. Now in faker library we can also generate images, so let's do that. This faker, it's going to be image URL, and here what we are going to say, we are going to give the width and height. We can do that, so $width, let's give it 200, height, let's give it 200. You can pass some space here. It's PHP, so we need to have dollar with the variable. Alright, so we have this. Now last and not least, year published. So year published, and what we want to pass here is, it is going to be date. So $this faker date. Now if I pass date like this, it's going to pass the complete date. I want only year, so I pass capital Y, so it's going to just add the year. Alright, so all looks fine to me here. Now what we need to do is we need to call it, we need to go inside the books header, and here we need to call book factory 50, and I say here create. Instead of using make, we pass this method. Now we don't have book, so we need to include it. Use book. Alright. Okay, now at last we need to call the book seeder in the database seeder, if you remember, the same way we called here. So I'm just going to copy and paste this, and here I say book seeder. I save this, go back to the terminal, clear the screen. Now this time I'm going to run migrate fresh seed. We have no errors. We have 2 times seeding for author and book. Now we go to database and refresh. Now we have authors regenerated, so name change. I go to books. We have ID, title, content. We have images, author ID, and if you see author IDs are in between 1 to 10. Then we have the year published. We have price. And we have created underscore add and dated updated underscore add. So as we need it perfectly, we have the data. Now first thing first, I want to show the posts, the books here on the front page, and I want to change the file names as well, because currently we are using files like welcome.blade. That doesn't make any sense. So what I do, I first close these book factory seeder. Okay, we are with the welcome here. Now I'm going to change this welcome dot blade. I'm going to call it dashboard. Okay, so dashboard dot blade. Now as it is dashboard, it's not going to work, so we need to pass here. Or what we do, we better work with the controller instead of using this. So what I do here basically, so I go to, I close the database, app, HTTP controller. We have book controller, author controller. I haven't changed the name of book controller, so let's change that. It's going to be books, and as we change here, we need to change the class name. So we need to display the list of books. So I'm going to use this function here. You can say display a listing of a resource, so we can call the book model to see the data. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call the book model book, and we say order by, because I want the newer books to come first and older to go backward. So I say order by created underscore at, and it's order going to be descending, and I want to use pagination here, so that I'm going to use Laravel paginate, and I want number of records in each page 6. So this is going to return us something, so I'm going to put it into books variable, and we can return this. So we changed the name to dashboard here, but as it's a books, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a separate directory here. So what I do, in views directory, I create a directory name pages to organize our code better. It is going to have pages. Then inside pages, I say they're going to be a directory for all the pages for books. And here inside this books directory, we can create a file, and that is going to be list.blade.php. Alright, so it's in the pages, books, and list. So as we want to show the list of books, so this is going to be the best. So what I do simply, I'm going to return view, and this is how you return the view. You simply pass the directory path. So I say pages.books.list. You don't need to put .blade.php, just list. And here I want to pass the data as well, so I say compact, and inside it we pass books. Alright, So if I go to list here, and here if I say $books, now we added this, but we need to tell then use this route file for a particular route. So if I go to web.php, currently it is showing this route, welcome.blade. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change it, and I'm going to remove this function. I'm going to call here our controller, books controller, and here class, and we say follow the method index. So now it is going to see that method instead. Now if we go to the browser, refresh, you can see we have some content showing up here. To see it properly, what I do, all we need to do is echo pre, or put inside pre tag. So let me put here pre, save it, go back. Alright, so we have data showing up here. You can see that we have title, content, cover, author ID, price, everything coming. So we can correct the layout here. All we do is go back, we go to dashboard as it was before, previously showing the main screen. I copy everything from here and I close this one, go to list and paste here. Yeah, you can see that it's all back. Now what I want to do, instead of these boxes, we can show our books. So let's do that. Go back here, and here if you see here these divs, let me show here, we have 4 divs. So these are 4 divs, those are looping through here, displaying here. So what we're going to do, we're going to loop through and we're going to make these divs to work for us. So I'm going to just remove this, and here I'm going to say at if, so it's going to be if condition, and this is how you put a if condition in Laravel Blade file. So here is set, and in this set we are going to pass $books. So if we have the books, so this is how you pass, basically you pass the value from controller to a view file. We pass the books. Now when you are in view file, you check for that file using condition. Now here we say if we have books, and for each we need to loop through, and in loop we say $books as $hook. Alright, and here inside it we can put this. So we just gonna cut this and I'm gonna put inside here. In a moment it's going to display and gonna make sense. So if we notice what data we are getting, so what I do here, if you want to check the data, what kind of data you have, you simply can dd. So here with dd here, $books, save, go back, refresh. So we have this in items, we have array of 6, then maybe have these, and here we have ID, title, content, cover, this way. So we need to call these. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna remove this now. And here where it says documentation, I'm going to pass the title. So let's add the title here. So to render the title, we put double curly braces, and inside we say $book and then title. I save this, let's see if it is working or not. So go here, refresh. Now we have, you can see that's 6 of the posts. Okay, let's see first. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put the content as well. So I'm just going to remove this. Here, I'm going to say content. refresh. We have content now, so it's working as expected. Now we need to show the image, and that's we need to add here. So what I do, I'm going to create here a div image basically. So simply we say pass the book. It's going to be in alt, you can pass title, here you can pass cover, and we need to give it a width. So I say width 50 pixel, height 50 pixel. We're not concentrating on designing for now because mainly the focus is Laravel. So we have the images, you can see we have the title, we have the content. We can limit the content length, so let's do that as well. So go to text editor. Here what I'm gonna do, I'm going to use the Laravel method string. It's a helper function, so it's going to be substring. And here we're gonna say 0 to 250. So just so 250 characters. So if I go back, refresh, you can see it's looking a lot better. Now we are using the paginate in the controller here, so we can have some links as well. So what I do here, simply we pass here the links. So what I want to do, I want to pass links here where it says Laravel version. So just go here, I remove this, and here we simply pass the links. So for passing links, you pass something like this: books, links. Alright, save this, go back, refresh, and we have previous, next. You can see we're gonna make it numerical, but for now you can see that we have here you can see the pages are changing. When I click next, it goes next page and we get the next post. So go back, now go previous posts. So far so good. Let's go to the single. So when we click, it should take us to that particular post or book detail. So we'll, in the URL here where we have title, we have we need to update the URL. So what we need to do here basically, I'm gonna pass here. We're gonna define a route, capital URL. Then we're gonna say to, and here we're gonna say books, and then we're going to be slash. Then we need an ID for that book. So we put dot here, $book ID. All right, and it should do the trick. Now currently we don't have this route. If we go to web.php, we have these routes here, but we don't have the route that goes to books and book ID. So what do we need to do for that? We need to define a route for this particular link. So if I go to books controller, if you remember, we use the resource, which is responsible for all the functions. So we can use the resource route in this case. Let me show you how resource route works. So you go to web.php. If your controller generated using -r and have default functions like this, so you simply go and create that resource route for that. So you say here route, and you say a resource. All right, and here you pass books. Now books, because we have for this books route, and then we say here books controller, and it's a class. Now we have books controller up there, so it's all right. Save this, and now we're not going to go straight away to the browser. We're going to check the routes. So here what I do is make it bigger, and there is a way to check routes. So you simply say PHP artisan route list. So when you run this, you see the routes. And let me make it a bit. Alright. Okay. Alright, here we have it. So if you see here on top here, you will see we have few routes. So if we want to create a new book, we want to add a new book, we can go to this route. Sorry, not this one. We need to go to store, which is one above here. And we have the, for edit we have here. For destroy we have here. If you want to update a book, you need to use this route. So these routes are generated by resource, and we don't need to define separate routes for this. And here in the list blade, we set books ID. So this is going to go to a single page. So we want to show the detail of single page of single book. So if I go this route, if you notice here, you have this method here. So it says books/book and name of this route is books.show, and it is going to work to display the content of that book. So that's the show method we need to use. So let's do that. So here, once we click, it is going to go to this route. So it goes to books controller and show method. So we go there, books controller and show method, which is here. And I say here, dd, or let's return something, return 1, 2, 3. Save it. Refresh page. Now I click here. It goes to books 20. We get 1, 2, 3. So it is working as given here. So it's working for our show. So we can display the content now. So what I do to save time, because I don't want to spend time in designing, I go in this page, copy everything from there, and I create a new file. In the same directory, we create a file with the name of single.blade.php, which is going to be responsible for the single page. So paste this. Now, okay, so we have now the single blade. Now we need to go back here. Here we need to say view, and we say pages.books.single. And we are saying that this is the file we want to display the output from. So you can see that in the view file we are using pages books list, and they're the same folder we have single now. So go to browser, refresh. We get undefined variable books because we copy pasted list content into single. That's why we don't have the books variable, so we need to correct that. So here we are currently not having any data, so we need to pass some data here. So we are getting the access to book, $book, and this is through the model. So we can simply straight away pass this variable here. So I say width, and here I say book, and here I say comma, $book. So it's coming into this function, and we are passing it to the view file. Save that. So we are passing data from controller to view. Now here we have the is set $book. It's fine. We don't need to for each this time because it's going to be only one post. I remove this and the for each as well. Expand this now. Now here we have book and book cover. We have book title, content. We want full content on this page, so we can remove this, save there, go back. Let's see if the header is still there. We still have books. Okay, for the links we have at the bottom, I think. So we need to remove. I am going to remove these flags and these two divs simply because I just want to show the content. Yeah, that's it. Save this, go back, and we have the content. So if we go Let's make this logo to go back to home. So when we click here, it should take us to home page. So if I go here, we have this logo coming here. So we can simply make it a link. So simply put here anchor tag, which is going to have URL to home page. Okay. Now we're going to pass this SVG inside it. Just like that. Alright, looks good. So this is going to work for us. Now, and if I go back and refresh the page, here if I click, it takes me back to home page. Now here it is not doing it, so we can go back to the list page. I'm just going to copy the same, and here I'm going to paste it. Okay, we need to cover the whole div. Alright, go back, refresh. Okay, go to single post, go back. So perfectly working. Yeah. Now, as we used it in two places, we can create a component for it. Because if you want to make any changes here, you will have to do it in two files, which is not good. So we should have it at one place. From there, we can use it. In Laravel, we can create components using PHP artisan command. So here in Laravel documentation, and the link is in the description, you can see the components. We have this command PHP artisan make component alert. We want to use this command. So I copy this and minimize this. Now go to the terminal, and there I'm going to clear this for now. Now we don't want alert. We want something more useful for now, as we have this common content on both pages. So it should be in the single component. So we want to have, let's create this file header for now. So when I create this, I hit enter, I return. Now this is going to successfully create the component. Now what I do, go to app directory, and here you will get a view folder now. And inside view folder, you will get header.php. I click that file. Now don't get confused between this view file and the model view controller. This view is just for the component functionality it created here, and so be careful about that. Now here it is rendering components.header. So in view directory, we already have a components directory created due to this command. So if I go back there, here you will notice we have components, and if I could open this, we have header.blade. So here you can see that the only way to do grid work, so our content goes here inside it. So let's do that. So what we need to do, we go to list.blade, and here we have this flex. So I'm gonna cut this, go in header, and we need to make sure it's whatever data we have stays inside these two divs, closing and opening divs. So I put it like this. I go here and delete it from here too, so you can see that we don't have that portion there. Now if I go back to the documentation, they say if you create alert, and then you can call this using X package alert, something like that. So let's do that. What we do, simply we need to call our component. So we say here X dash header. Alright, I'm just gonna copy this from here, go to list, paste here. Okay, so if all good, we should close this tag, save this, and go in single and close here as well. Fresh, you can see that it's working just fine. So if I go to the single post, we are there, click there. So this is happening through this now. It's not that we have it any other way. So we have header here, and that is showing up there. Now the benefit of using the component, we can pass some data. So what we can do here is what I do. I again remove this, and here I'm going to close it just below. So I'm going to close it like this. Okay. Now here inside I say something. So it's a p tag, and I say example of slot in component. Right, so this is a data we are passing. Now this is a concept of slots. So we saw the component, we can call the component like this. Now let's see how slot works. So we pass anything inside the component, starting and ending, and whatever you pass here inside the component, you go in header, and here you can say inside the component, inside that div, we can simply pass dollar slot. Okay, save this. Now what we do, go here to the browser where we have our application, refresh, single page. Here we have the example of slot showing up there. And let me go back here. Let me we are adding it inside single, so it's showing just there. So if I add here class, all right, save this, go back, refresh. It's still displaying dark, so what I do is change it to this, save there, go back. So you can see that example of slot, it's showing up there. So the thing is that we use the component, we are using it here as well. It's not showing here, but it's showing, and it's not like this out of the page. You can, if I go to header, instead of slot here, I can put at the bottom, save there, now refresh. So you can see that it's not showing up here. Now if I go to single post, it's showing up there. So where you call it, if you pass the content, here we are not passing, it's not showing. You can pass different content as well. So the way we pass here, but I copy this from here and copy and paste here. And here I say welcome to homepage, something like that. Save that, refresh. Now here it says this, and here it says welcome to homepage. So this is the slots, and very useful. Can be used. You can use these as well. Now let's correct the pagination on this page. We need to tell the Laravel application to use Bootstrap, because by default it uses Tailwind CSS, so we don't want that. We are not using it in this project, so we go back here, and here we need to navigate to providers directory, which is inside app directory. So providers, here app service provider, we have boot method. Here we are going to say paginator, and when you call paginator, you say use and Bootstrap, and it is going to make it force use Bootstrap. When you call the paginator, on the top we need to include it. Here it is including, we have the illuminate pagination paginator. This is what we need to include. And now you can see that other line is gone. Now if I go back to the browser, refresh, now we have this showing up in the numbering. If you click any of these, you can see the page 8. Now we need to deal with the style of this. So about the styling, we need to notice one thing. So I'm going to take you to here. Now when we go in public, we have CSS file. When you click here, you will get the CSS and then the JS, app.js. Now this is something that is after rendering, it comes here. So what I do, we say npm run dev. It is going to compile and going to update the CSS and JS files. So we need to include that app.css into the page to see the layout correctly. So on this page we currently don't have that, so we need to include it. So to include it, we go to the text editor again. Here if if I scroll down here in resources, you will see views and layouts. Here we have app.blade. If you click this file, you will see that there it is including. Now this file came here when we ran the scaffolding for auth. If you remember, we did that initially so that we got the login and register pages. So that added this file. Here you can see it is adding the app.js and app.css here. So this same file we need to include into the same in our page where we are facing the problem. So currently we are facing the style issue here on the front page. So we go there, and so it's inside pages, list page, and here on top I'm gonna paste this, save this, browser, refresh. Okay, we have it corrected. Now here for this we can correct it as well. Simply I'm gonna cross bg white class. I'm just gonna remove that. All right, refresh. So you can see that we have pagination properly. Bootstrap pagination working. Now if I go to register and register here, let's register. So as a manu and manu at Zox.base, give any password. I'm gonna give it 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Alright, we are registered. Save this, we are in here. So there is a layout file which is dealing with this. So we just saw here in layout app.layout, but for front end we don't have any layout file, so we need to create one. So let's do that. So what do? In the layouts, I'm going to create with the file name frontend, frontend.blade.php. And what we can do, basically we can simply, if you see, we just need to copy and paste everything from here. So what I do, I simply go back here, list page, copy everything and paste it here. Alright, so it is having the HTML style and everything going on here. So the portion where our content is coming is here. So then this portion, and then the pagination is here. So we need to take out this portion. Alright, so this div, we can cut this div, and here we're gonna say at yield, and yield, we wanna yield the content. Alright, I'm gonna save this. Now we go back to list blade, we delete everything from here, and here we are gonna say at extends, and we want to tell which layout file it is extending from. So what it is going to do, it is going to get this front end file. So we say here layout.frontend, and here we gonna say add section, and section going to be content. Now why content, I'm going to show you in a moment. So we say here end section. Alright, and inside it we put that HTML that we just did the cut from the layout file. So let's see. In the front end we said yield content, and here we created section content, and we told that we are using the layout file frontend. So we are saying, okay, this content sent to frontend, and this is the frontend, and here display this content. So if I go back, I say in both files, and refresh the page, you see everything is working just fine. Now go to single file, it's working fine as well. But if we go to the single file, let's cross this, and single file. Now single file is still not using the layout. So what we need to do, our content is showing up just the way we did in list. It is starting this div which is holding all the content. In the here we have the similar div, so I'm just going to cut this and delete everything. And I'm going to tell that extends layout frontend, and then section, and I'm gonna say okay, this is the content section, and then end section, and here we're gonna pass our HTML that we did cut. Let's save this, go back, refresh, and you can see we got white here. Now that's a styling issue. We can remove these class to correct it, and refresh. We have content back, so everything is working just fine. Now we have front layout file as well. Now there's one thing I want to add here. If we go to front blade, we are yielding the content. Now you might want to add the script. So if you want to add the scripts, so for example, you want to add a few scripts in here. So we will say add yield, and you will say scripts. Alright, I'm going to save this way. Similarly, whatever file you have, we are including scripts. You simply say add section, and you pass the name as scripts, and the spelling should match, and add end section, and here you can add your script. Now what it is going to do, it is going to include this in your front end layout. Just here, it is going to inject it here. You might be thinking the pages were working fine, so why we created the layout file? The main benefit of layout file is whenever you go to any page, it is going to inject the content here. So for example, if you have any CSS or JavaScript given in layout file, you can use those CSS and JavaScript on all the pages. So when you go to list page, you will have the access to that JavaScript because you're extending that layout, and you will have the same JavaScript and CSS access in this single dot blade as well. So if you have 10 files and extending from a single front end, and tomorrow you let's say you update the jQuery version and you had the jQuery included in your front end layout file, you just have to update there. You update there, and it is going to update in every page. So you get the point here. So it's going to be way more useful, because if you don't have the layout, then you will have to add that jQuery updation to each page wherever you're using jQuery. So that's the reason we use front layouts. Look of our application. So far we have the posts, single page post is working fine. We have home showing up there and pagination working. Now what I want to do, I want to work in this dashboard so that we can create more books and delete and edit books. That's the main thing we need to do here. So what we do basically, I'm going to go into this page. It is a dashboard page. And okay, so when we ran the scaffolding, we got this page, and it is powered from the home page.blade. So if I click here, we can see that you are logged in, and then we have the dashboard showing up here, and this is the file which is responsible. It is extending the layout app on the top, and you can see that section, the way we created the section file in the front end, it is using here. So far we don't need this dashboard blade. So what I do, I'm going to delete this file, and I'm going to call this home file as a dashboard, because this is more of a dashboard. So it's a dashboard. So currently it is powered by, if I go here in HTTP controller, home controller, so it is powered by here. So it is, you can see home. So I just change name there, so I need to change here too. So I say dashboard to make it work. Now it call itself home controller. I'm gonna change it to dashboard instead. So dashboard controller. So if you change the name, you need to pass it here too. Controller should be plural, but in this case I think dashboard going to be only one, so we just fine with this. So if I go back now and refresh the page, okay, it is saying that home controller. Okay, so in the routes it is using it, so we need to update it there as well. So in web.php you can see that we have home controller here. We need to pass this as a dashboard here as well, and it should be fine. Yeah, you can see now everything is working fine now. So here it says home. We can update this to go to front end layout here, where we have login status. Here it says home. So here I say dashboard. Save this. Go to the browser, refresh the page. Now it says dashboard. So you click dashboard, you are in the dashboard. Now in dashboard, we need to show the content, and as we know now, let's close the book controller, header, list, front end. We are just going to work with dashboard and dashboard blade. So dashboard controller, here we have the index where we have the dashboard showing up like this. Now I want to send the book data here, so I'm going to use this as a book. And here I say paginate, and I want 10 books, all right, and I want to say $books, okay, is equal to, and we want to pass this with books, $books, and we need to include this class on top, so let's do that. Use app model book. Okay, great, we added it. Now here we can see the data. So currently, if we see here, data will look something like this. Refresh, go here, here, and here. Okay, so we have data like this, right? So we have ID, we have title, we have content, cover. So everything will display just fine. The only thing that we need to modify here is the author, because we have author ID, we do not have author name, but we want to display in the list author name. So how we can get the author name? Because currently here we don't have author name. So what do we need to do in that case? We need to use Laravel relationship. So here we're gonna see the example how we can do that. So simply I go to models and book model, and here I forgot to add a fillable, so we need to add fillable as well. So let's do that. So I say here protected $fillable, and we need to pass all the fields. And if you remember, we have all these fields here, so we can pass these fields there, right? So let's add these fields: title, comma, content. If we won't add fillable, we might face header, so we need to make sure we add it as for mass assignment it is required. It's price, then we have cover, and there was one more, year published. Now when you define when you need to get the name of the author, so let's go to database here. So here in the books table, we have author ID, and if you click this, we go to that specific author in the authors table. So you can see that author table. So we have the foreign key set there. So we can use the Laravel relationship in this case to get the data. So to work with relationship, it is something like this. It is like joins when you're getting data from multiple tables. So you can use the ID, and let me show you the example how it works. So I go to text editor. Here we are going to define the relationship. I say public, then I say function. It's going to be an author function, and we want to do is return $this and the relationship name. So we say belongs to. Okay, now why belongs to? You can see that there we have belongs to, we have belongs to many, we even have has many, and there are so many relationships we can put, but which one is the best one to suit in this situation? The thing is, author can have so many books, right? And book belongs to an author. That's the reason the book belongs to the author. So here we are passing the class, which is author class, and that's why we are using this particular relationship here. Now author, let's go ID and ID. Now what I did here I said that author model, and there is a reference in book table. We have author ID, which is same as the ID in author table. So that's the thing. We have the books table author ID, and when we go to authors table, these IDs are saved here as author ID. So it's gonna get the data that way. So we can check this if we are getting data or not. So I just defined this. Now I go back to dashboard controller. Here we can call that relationship. So I say with, and here we pass the relationship name, so it's author, and then paginate. So you can see that author. Now how can we call it? Because we are calling this model book, so we are calling the relationship that is defined in the same file. So we are referring to that. Now this DD will have some extra data. So let's see. Go back here, refresh. Now go back inside this array, and here we have the data of book. Then we have relationships here. Click there, click again, and in attributes we have the author detail. So we're getting the author, so we can display it now. So let's do that. Go to text editor again, and I'm gonna just pass this for now straight away. So we have books that we are passing into dashboard.blade file. So I go there. Now here we need to display the content, so let's do that. So here and the card, the body, we are gonna say here at if is set $books. Alright, if we have books data here, and if the statement, and inside we get for each. So here we say, first I want to create a table, and let's get the table. So here in Bootstrap website we have a simple table here. I'm just gonna copy this table and just gonna paste in our code editor, and here inside is if statement. Alright, if I save this and go to the page, refresh, you can see that the content showing like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these rows from here. So they're going to be only single row, and here we are going to loop through. So we have this table. Let's make it a bit back, and here I say at, and here in for each we are going to pass $books as $book, and here we need this for each to be outside of the row, table row, so it's going to be here, and the complete row will go inside the loop. So we want to pass it like this. Alright, now here we are going to pass the data. First thing I want to have here, image, or let's call it cover for the book. So here, this is, I'm gonna make it TD and remove the scope of row. Here I'm just gonna say image, and we want to pass the source. It's going to be $book cover, and here I pass the title as alt. Alright, then the second thing is going to be title, so I say book title. So here pass the title. Then we have author. Now for author we need to pass it a bit differently. So here I say author, and here we're gonna call it like book author name. Now this is going to get it through the relationship that we have author and then the name. So here it should be fine. Now next is going to be price, so let's have price. Alright, just copy this, paste here, and book price. What is left now is publish date, so th scope code here, and here I'm gonna copy and paste this twice because 2 more columns going to be there, and here I say published, here published. Now the last is last updated, so here we can say updated underscore at, save that, and here copy this, and then we call here last updated, save this. Now go to the browser, refresh, and we have data coming into the phone. Now you can see here. Now what we can do, we can set some image size so that it doesn't take all the width. So here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say width to 100 pixel and height to 70 pixel. Alright, 70 pixel, save this, get back, it should be a lot better. Yeah, now I want to make it a bit wider, so if I go on top, it is using colMD8, I'm gonna convert it to 10, save this, refresh. So we have author name coming, price coming, published date is coming here. Last updated is not showing as we want, and here is the concept of accessor and mutators. So let's discuss about that. So accessor is something in the model we can define how we want data to be, and it is going to be that way. So if you go to the Laravel documentation, there is accessor and mutators. So accessor is something we define inside the model itself, and here is the example. Let's see in practice how it looks. So what I'm going to do, I want to modify this to a human readable form, like how many minutes ago or a year ago or a day ago it should display that way. So in our text editor, I go to the book.php, and here I'm going to create a function, public function, and I want to update the updated underscore at. So it's going to be get updated at, and then I say attribute. Alright, so updated underscore at me going to be get updated at attribute, and then you pass the value, and here you're gonna say what you want to do with this. So here I say return, I say carbon, okay, it's a class, and I say parse. And what I want to parse, I want to change whatever value we pass, and we want to pass it in human readable form. So we use this function. All right. Now Carbon is a library. We haven't included it. We can use here use Carbon. All right, so it should be fine now. Let's go back and see what happens. So you refresh here. So you can see that it's 1 hour ago. So it changed the format. So this is something happening in the model. So before we are fetching it, it's automatically updating that particular value and it deciding based on this. So it's just updating this particular value. All right, let's add more things here. We need to have some buttons so that we can edit these records. So let's do that. So here we go dashboard blade. Here we need to add another field. And this field is going to be actions basically. So I'm going to call here th actions. And here I'm going to call the td. And here we need to include the font also. So for that, I'm going to go on this website, cdnjs.com. Here we have the cdn, here all mean.css. I'm just going to copy this. And here in our file, now this dashboard is using the app layouts.app. So we need to go in this layout file. And here in app, we can call this font awesome. So here I'm gonna say link, pass the link here, and simply I'm going to call here the comment like this, and I'm gonna mention it's a font awesome. So font awesome. Okay, so this is going to work here now. So here in the action we can include a logo now. So let's do that. So what I do is simply say button, because it's going to be a button, and inside the button I will have an I tag. In here we say class, and for I need an edit button here. So for that we say fas edit. This is the class. Let's see if we are getting it. Go back, refresh. Alright, so we can give the Bootstrap class here to make it a bit better. So here I say class, and it's going to be btn and btn primary. Same way we need another button, so I'm going to pass here, and this button is going to be for the deletion. So here we say alright, let's have a look. Go back there, refresh. We have two buttons, for edit, for delete. Now let's work with the edit button. So I need to, when we click, we should go to a new page where we can edit it. And also we don't have the pagination currently working here, so we need to add that. So let's add the pagination here. So what I do here is where the table is ending, here we can put HR, and there we simply call the pagination $books link. Okay, save this, go back, refresh, and we should have pagination now. It's working fine, looks good. Now let's update. So for update, we need to create a route. So if we go to the here in terminal, if you remember, we had some routes, PHP artisan route list. And here, now this will update the content, but for the page view, for the edit page view, we need to go here. So we need to pass this books, then ID, and then edit. So we are going to do that here. So here in the first button, I'm going to pass this. Now we need to make it a link in that case, so I change it this, and we can still have the and here we say href. Now I remove this, and and it's going to be, so we need to pass here URL, and this URL is going to go to books. Then here we pass $book ID, then edit. Alright, so this is books, and then book ID, and then edit. That's what we need. So we save this, and before going to anywhere, I'm going to clear other files here. I'm going to go into books controller, because we need to check for books controller edit function. So here we go to edit. Here we can check DD here just to see if we're getting it. So go to the browser again, refresh. Now here we can see that we are getting link. We click here, we go to here. Great. Now here, what I want to do, I want to create another view. So I'm going to say here return, and it's going to be a view. We're basically going to say pages dot books dot, and there I'm going to create another page which is going to be edit. And here we need to pass width. We need to pass book because we are going to update particular book, so we need to pass book. So here it's going to be like this. Okay, so now if I go to view files, here we don't have that edit blade, so we need to create here. So let's add that. It's going to be edit.blade.php. Now this edit blade should take the layout of this page, so it's going to be app, so backend. So here if you remember, we use this. Now here we need to check, if you want to check which file is viewing this. For that we need to install a package. It is now it's a Laravel Debugbar. So basically here it is. So we need to install this package. It is going to help us find the view file and the route very quickly. So that's very useful. You can read the documentation. The link of this is also in the description. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a command for it. So open the terminal, and here I put this command. So it's going to install it. Now it is installed. You need to go into the environment file one more time. Here the app debug should be true to see the debug bar. So if I go back to the browser and hard refresh, and you will see at the bottom we have the debug bar. Now I'm not sure which file is powering this page. I simply go here. I see here resource view dashboard. So dashboard is the file which is powering displaying this content. So now when I go to edit, here we want the similar layout to dashboard. So what I do, I go in dashboard blade, I copy everything from there and put in edit. Alright, because we want similar type of layout. Now here I move this portion because we want ourselves to add again, and now I refresh, so you can see that we have that. So if I go back here and then edit, it looks a bit similar. Now all we need is a form here, so let's add the form. So here I go, and here we say HR, and then I add the form. I'm going to add the form behind the scenes so we can fast track this. I'm going to paste the form here. Basically this is nothing much. I'm going to explain now. So we have form tag here, then we have a div where we have the label for it with an input, which is a file type input. Then we have book title label, and we have input, we are accepting text. We have text area here to get the content. We have input text for book price, the same way we have input text for year published. Then we have two buttons here, one for update and one for previous, going back. So here we are using URL previous, so going back. So I save this, go back to the refresh here. So you can see that we have this now here. We can select file, we can put title, we can add the details, we can add price and publish and update and back. So back, click, you go back here. Now let's put the detail. As when we click here, we should automatically have all the details pre-filled for this. So let's do that. So here, as if you remember, we passed in edit page book, so we can use that. So here, this form should display only if we have data. So here, I'm going to say add if is set, and here I say $book. All right, and in this if statement, our form will be there. So I'm just gonna cut this and put inside here. So we are in a if statement now. Now if we have the book, obviously we can pass the values. So let's do that. Here I say value, and here we need to pass the value. So we have $book, and here we access to title because it's a title field. Now the same way we need to pass into everywhere. Now here in text area we can pass here $book content. Then we have here price. So price. Now here year published. So it's going to be year underscore published. Alright, so we should have all the details. Let's go back and refresh. So you can see that we have all the data there already. And for buttons, here we can add Accessor. So a little bit better. Alright, now let's submit this form. So we have button with the type submit. In the form, we are going to define here a few things. So first is ink type. And it's going to be multi-part form data, as we are going to pass the image. Method going to be post, and then we have action. And action is going to be the route where we want to send it. So here we can define the route. So I say here route, and here we will pass the route. So if I go to the terminal and run the route command again, so we have update route here, right? So we need to pass this name there. So we can simply copy this, and we are going to pass this name here. Now when you pass this, you need to pass the book ID. So here I simply pass an argument with it. So I say book, and it's going to be $book, and that's going to be the ID. Alright, if you remember in the terminal, when update, we need to pass the book. So we are passing that book there. So it is book, and book is as a book ID. So this is going to go there. Now, when we pass the form, we need to pass here CSRF token. And with each form, it is going to go directly itself. So we just pass here. I'll show you in a moment what it does. Now, if you remember, it's going to be a put request. You can see here, put and patch. So we need to define here. So I say here, method underscore field, and it's going to be put. I save this, go to the browser, refresh. Now inspect this. And when you go to form, you will notice two hidden fields here. The one is token, which has a token here, one method with value put. So these two things in the code, this is adding those two inputs, hidden inputs, and this is required to work with Laravel, and this token is required to save data through forms. Alright, so we have the route here where we are sending the data, and if we click here it should take us there. So we get books and it is passing us there. That's totally fine currently. So but we need to check if we what is the behavior, what happens. So here in books controller I need to go and update. So currently it is empty, so we get white screen. So I say here return 1 to 3 to see, and we send, we get 1 to 3. So we are in the same method, so we can work with this now. So first of all I'm going to update here. So update data in database. All right, and here we are gonna say we are getting the request on top, so we can fetch the data from it, and we are also getting the model book, so we can use it as well. So let's do this. So if you want to update the data in database, you simply say $book, you say update, and you pass array of data that you need to update. So for the fields we have title, right? We have content, we have field price, and we have year underscore published. All right, these are the fields we have, and we want to pass the data. So first we get here request, and in request we say get and pass here title. Okay, we have the title the same way. I'm just going to copy paste this here to save time. Now after pre publish here, so here we say content, here we say price, and here we say year underscore published. All right, now this is going to update it, and so far we are not validating this, but we are going to validate in a moment. I just want to see if the things are working or not. So here it's going to update data for us. Now let's see what happens. So if I go back here, and here we have this title at the end, I say 1 to 3, I hit update, we are there, go back, refresh, and go back, refresh. You can see that we have 1 to 3 added, but we still got the white screen because we were not redirecting or doing anything. It is updating, but we are not doing anything afterwards, so it's not doing anything in the same way. So here what we do now, here I say if user passes the image as well, so let's do that. So here we say image upload. Okay, so now here simply if $request has, and we are going to check file. So we need to pass the name, as in the edit page we have the file input type and the name cover, so we can check for it. So here simply as a cover, and here inside it I'm going to pass if or I simply pass here $image, and that is going to be, so if we have file, I'm going to put into a variables. I say $image is equal to, and I'm going to set $request, and a $request I'm gonna say file and the name, so it's cover. Alright, now what I want to do here is I want to use this name and I get the extension of the file. So for that I say here $name is equal to, I'm going to join the time, the current time, and that is going to change the image name each time we upload image. And here I say $image
And here we use a function, and this function is get client original extension. All right, now here we can say $destination path is going to be equal to, now this is a function that is going to give us the Accessor public directory, so it's public underscore path. All right, now here inside it we say assets, books, and then we pass ID. So here I pass the book ID. So whenever you upload a book cover, it is going to create a folder for that book with the book ID, and then inside it is going to put the image. So here we create a directory like this. Alright, so this is going to be destination path for it. Now what we need to do here is, here we need to check if the directory is there. If not, we need to create that directory using PHP. So let's do that. So if and there is a function in PHP is dir, so we can check if the directory is there. We need to pass this directory path, destination path here. Now we want to create directory if not present, so we are going to say if not directory, then mkdir, and here we pass the variable again, create it, and also chmod. We can run the permission like this here, and I'm going to pass the permission to 0755. All right, so it is going to create the folder for us if it is not present there. Now what else we need to do? We need to say if there are images. So whenever you upload an image, they're going to be a previous image. So if there is an image present, we need to delete that image as well. So we can do that here. So let's do that. So let me first add the comments so that things will be clear. Here, if directory is not there, create it. All right. Now here we add comment if directory has images, clean first before upload. All right, so it's gonna clean first and then going to upload. So I say here if empty, again the PHP function, we are going to use scan dir. It's going to scan the directory and going to give us the file names. So here I'm going to pass the destination path again, and here we are going to say file and clean directory. Okay, now this is not stored, it's file clean directory, and here we pass the destination path, so it's going to clean it. Now we need to provide it the file, so on the top we go here and say use support and then facades and then file. Alright, now it's going to have the access to file. Alright, so this is going to clean the directory. If it is, you need to put here if not empty. If there is already images, it's going to clean that. And if our directory is clean, we are going to update. So here I say directory is empty. And then we also want to put the name in database, so we are going to do here. So here first I'm going to put the move to the image, so I say $image, and I'm going to say move, and we are going to pass the destination path here and $name. Alright, is going to pass the image, and if image uploaded, then add name in database. So here simply I say $book and I say update, and this time we are going to update one value, and that is cover, and that cover value is going to update $name. So whatever the latest name of the image is going to add in the database as well. And then we can send user back here, return back, and if you want to pass with that, you simply say with and success and the message. Let's pass a message, image uploaded successfully. All right. Now, one thing I want to say here is that we are uploading the image in public path. You can pass in storage path as well. You can use storage method in Laravel, but I'm preferring this because here we are not going to face any issue with the performance permissions, and in storage directory you will have to link the directory. In separate video we will try that, but now for the understanding and for the most project this will work without any issue. So this is the approach I feel quite easy, because if you want to put in storage directory you will be putting a lot of efforts, and you will be working on some big project. But for now I think public directory is very suitable for small to medium projects, so it's not an issue here. Alright, so let's review this method one more time. We are updating the data here. So we have title, content, price, and year published. So if I go back in edit, we have all these fields here. So we have the title, name title here, and then we have the name content here. So these are the fields it is getting data from. Now then, once it has the data, it is also checking if we are passing image. If we are passing image, then we are getting and putting image in $image. Then we are getting the name extension with the time. Here we're changing the name of file with the current time, and then we are putting the creating a directory. Now this directory is in assets for books, and then that particular book ID. So it's going to be unique for each book. And then if directory is already there, we are not going to create. If there is no directory, it is going to create. Now here we are scanning the directory. If there are already images, it is going to clean it, and here then we are going to move the image. Let's see if it is working, because after that we need to check for validations as well. So here I go back here, so let's upload an image. In desktop I have images, I select an image, and here I put some text, and I click update, and we say no such directory mkdir. Let's check what's gone wrong. So here we have assets and books, and then each time this is going to be changed and going to be created there. So I'm going to create this directory there by default. So I go to the project here, and let's go to public, and this public directory I create a folder, and that is going to be assets. So let's do that, assets, and inside assets I create another folder which is going to be books. Alright, now the rest it is going to create whenever we upload the image. I'm going to run the permission command on the directory itself. So let's say more public, basically, because we are uploading in public. Now I'm going to refresh it and try again. So okay, so I select an image, and then let's update, and we get no error. So if I go to the directory, and here in public assets we have an image, you can see here it uploaded there. So in Finder, we can check here in directory as well. So we uploaded successfully. So now let's see. So we got the image there. Now if I update the image on the same one, so we have this image right now, I'm going to update to this and update, and we have no error. And let's go back. Now you will see in the same directory we have still a single image, and this time it's a new one. So you can see that what code did, it cleaned the previous image and it removed the previous image and updated the new one. So we have a new one image there. Xampp docs project, public, assets, books, and here we have the image, new image. Alright, let's see if we are getting data in the table as well. So we have 50 records. It's not inserting in table, so let's but we are updating it. So let's see which one is this. And this one is ID 1, so we need to go for ID 1, which is here. We have our text updated as well. We have URL changed. Now if you see that previously we were storing the URLs for image, a complete URL. Now here we have the image name. Now we need to change this, our application code, to display the images. So I go back here to the dashboard. Now if we see here, the cover is no longer showing, so we need to work on this. So this is, I go to code editor, and here in dashboard.blade, here what we need to see, we need to check image. We are getting image here, so this time we need to give it a path. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna check. So we can put a check here. If the image is a URL, you can see that we have HTTPS : / we can check for this. If this is there, then display differently, otherwise we take the image from public folder. So let's do that. So here what I say at if, and we use Laravel helper here, so string contains, and here we are going to pass $book cover, and second we are going to pass HTTP PS. Okay, if it contains this, then what we need to do, then we need to display as it is showing. Then I say else, and here we say and if. Okay, so the images are going to work just fine here. Now if there is no HTTP, that means we updated the image and image is in public directory. In that case we need to give the path here. So we say /assets /books / we need to provide here ID and the cover. So what we can do, we can simply copy this and paste one more time. And now this is going to be ID, and that is going to be covered, the name of the file. So if I save this, go back here and refresh, so you can see that the image is now displaying. If I inspect this, you can see that this is the image name. And if we see any other row, so for the next one, it is going to be complete URL. Now we have missing the validation, so we need to work on our validation. Let's go back in code editor, in books controller here on top, before the update. And also we need to send a success message. It's passing from here but not showing there, so we are going to correct this now. So first let's add a validation here. So I can add a comment here, validate data before updating, and here simply as a $validator is equal to validator. Alright, and here we're going to use make, and and then we are going to pass request in it. So we can pass request like this, request all. Alright, and second we need to pass the array of rules. So here we pass array of rules. So here we say, okay, for title I want, okay, it's going to be like this. So I want it, as it is update, we can't say it's going to be, they're going to be already titled there with some changes. We can say here required. We can say here max 255. Then we need is cover. So I want to check what file we are passing here. And here it's going to be image. It is not required in this case. And JPEG, PNG, JPG. These are the common formats, and SVG. And maximum. Alright, now let's add the content. So here for content I want that maximum 1000 characters. Alright, so this is gonna do it. Now here we return the user, so you say if $validator, and we say fails. No, then what we want to do, we say return redirect. Alright, and then we say here back to the page user came from, and then we say with headers, and header is going to be $validator, and then with input. I think with address is enough, so let's save this and let's go back to dashboard. Here we need to do this. We need to add some checks. So here, right here, we are saying you're logged in. Here I'm going to put these checks. So I'm going to remove this, you're logged in, and we're going to put here at if, and we are going to use an if condition here, and in this we say $error. If there is any error, then perform this portion of code. Here I say div with the class of alert, and there's a class in Bootstrap, so alert danger, and here we say simply an unordered list, and I say add for each, and here we say $errors all as error, and we need to pass here li with $error. So this is going to check for the errors and going to display us. Now I want to also sort the success message, because we are not getting this message here. So when we update, so we are passing it with success. And here we are going to check if session has success. Alright, so then it's going to work this way, and I'm going to show the success message. And yeah, in the same way we need to put here at else, because it's not necessary. Sometimes there are going to be errors, no success. In that case we can copy and paste. Alright, here what I do, I say at if, one more time, and here we say session, and this time we check error. Alright, and there we pass the danger div. So I just copy this and remove this from inside, and here and pass this error. Alright, just gonna do in as a Bootstrap class rod add margin. So I'm just passing that here. Here it is not required. Let's save this and let's see what happens. So I think we are all set. Let's refresh and let's add it. So here we updated it 12 minutes ago. Let's add it, update something else. I added this third one. So we change it to updating image. Let's give an image here. And price set to 23, year set to, let's say, 90, and update. And we get an error, validator make. We need to go and check what it included. We didn't include we included the wrong class here that caused this error, so we need to correct this. So for using validator, we need to use it through Illuminate. And then it needs to be support. So it was including a wrong class there. Now facades, and then they're going to be validator. Now it should be fine. Let's go back and update again. And if I go back, okay, go to dashboard. We have everything working, but we didn't get the success messages or anything. So let me check the page. I added these in the dashboard. I need to add these in the edit page. So I go there, and we need to see these errors in the place. Let's go back here and somewhere here. So I'll go, it's going to be right here. Alright, let's save this. Now let's check again. So this time I say let's update some other records. So I just update this one, change an image, add this image, and put something here. Education. Same thing here, so we can see that if content is updating. Now here we say 13, here we say 73, and update. Now we get image uploaded successfully. We have all the data updating, but we are giving the wrong message because it's updating, so it should say update. So let's go back. So in update method, we have validation, successful. We have data updating, and if image updates, it passes this. So we can say here update successful. Now let's check the validation if it is working correctly or not. So what I do here, I'm going to remove the title and I'm going to hit update, and we get the title field is required. So yes, it's working just fine. Now I need to connect one more thing here. So if we don't pass an image and hit update, it's going to give us a white screen, because if you notice in our update function, we are check validating here, then we are checking update, and then we are checking image, and inside image we are returning user with the success message. So we need to pass this success message out of this if check for image, so that any case if there is going to be any error in this code, it's not going to reach here, but if it reaches here, and it's going to give us any message. So here, if I go back here, refresh, resend, we get update successful. So yeah, this now on click of delete, we need to ask before deleting it, are you sure you want to delete it? So for that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a model here, which is going to confirm. So I get Google in here, model Bootstrap, we can look for any model here. Like here we have a launch model, so we can use this code. So as we're using Bootstrap, I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to use this. Now here, what we can do, we can go in the dashboard, and here we have delete button here, right here. So what I'm going to do in this span, I'm going to pass this model right here. Okay, so it's just going to align it properly. Now, yeah, all good. So I'm just gonna save it. Now what we need to do here is that here, first of all, this button is going to trigger this model. So here it is triggering because of this data toggle and data target. So we're gonna cut this from here and remove this. So we still only have model here, and I'm going to pass this data toggle in here. All right. So we save this. Now here in body we say we can give a message, are you sure you want to delete this record? All right. Now here we are going to do the form submit. So before that, let's have a look how it looks. So I go here and refresh, and when I click here, it does nothing. Let's see why. So go back here. We are targeting ID. So okay, so here is example ID. Now I need to pass the book ID here so that each model will have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the ID name. So I say here book model, and then I'm going to pass an ID. All right, and the same thing we're going to pass in the here an ID. So that's the data target and it's the ID. And yeah, now it should be fine. Let's refresh. For some reason Bootstrap is not responding. I'm going to run the command again. Let's run the npm install, run dev. Alright, it compiled completely. Now let's refresh, and okay, now it's working. So we have the model showing up here. However, it changed its style a bit, so we will be correcting that. So now here we have, are you sure you want to delete? Now here, let's create a delete button here. So on click of this, it should delete. So let's do that. So we go back here, and here in dashboard, now we have this showing up here, right here. So what we need to do, we need to create this portion form, and here on the top I'm going to change its title as well. Delete book, and then it gives the error. Here we say delete, and we want to make it there. I'm going to create a form, simply form, and now I'm going to say here action going to be the route. So we're going to say route, and in here we need to pass a destroy route. So for that, if I go back to here, we can say PHP artisan route list, and if you remember, we have our routes here. So here is the route we need to deal with this time, and the name of the route is books destroy. So I'm going to pass this name in here. Now we need to pass the book, you can see here, and the method going to be delete. So this is what we need to do. So here what I say, just the way we did before, I'm going to pass here a comma and an array, and it's going to have the book its value going to be the ID. So $book ID. Okay. Now what we need to pass here ink type. I think that is not required. Method going to be required here. So method going to be post for the form, and here we say CSRF underscore field, so it gets the token, and also we define a method field here. So it's going to be method underscore field, and it is going to be delete. Alright, save this, and now these buttons going to be inside. So what we do here, this close button goes just on top of this form, we don't need to touch it, and this button we put inside form right here. Type going to be submit, so it's going to submit to this URL, and it's going to delete. So let's go to the book controller. Now here we need to go to destroy. Here we simply say that $book delete, and here I'm gonna say $data, and we can simply say here return. Actually we don't need $data, we simply say delete, or so here we say back, and then we are going to pass here with, then it's going to be success message, and we want to pass here record or book deleted successfully. Alright, so let's see what happens. So we already have the messages showing up there. Now we have books destroyed not defined, and let's see, books destroy, and here we have space here. I think that might be causing it to refresh. Yeah, all good. Now let's try to delete it. I'm going to delete the second entry here. Delete. It says, are you sure you want to delete? Yes, I want to delete it. Book deleted successfully. It's gone from there. I refresh. You can see that it's no longer there. So yeah, successfully deleting now. Now, when you work with the, if you go to books controller, now this code is doing the job, but this is not the best practice, and we might face a problem if something goes wrong. And the same thing we're going to apply on the other methods as well, because in update we did not checking for that. So what we do basically, we need to use a try catch. So it's going to be like this, try, and then they're going to be catch. Alright, we pass an exception class here, $e, and then we say here, do this code, okay, run this code, and return also goes inside it. If something goes wrong, we need to run here. We catch the exception. Now here we say log, and we can say error, and then we say $e get message, and here we can even dd, or dd is going to display to users, so not going to be a best experience, but for only a log file you will be using it. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to call these on top, so we have exception and log, so we need to include these. Here we say use exception and use log. Alright, so now let's check if it works. So now if I go back here, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove the semicolon. So here, yeah, there is an error obviously. Now let's refresh and hit delete. Now it gives the error here. Now same way we go to the code here, and in here we need to go inside storage. So we go inside storage. There we have logs, and then Laravel logs. I scroll down to the bottom of it because it's the latest one, and here we get the error from the 150 line. And if I go here in the code editor, looks controller 150, exactly the same point where we have the error. So it is logging that error to Laravel log, so we can check in the logs that there is something wrong, and we can check if it doesn't show here, and the main purpose is then to catch the error. So this gives you extra point to solve the problem. So let's correct it. We're going to put back the semicolon here, and it should be working fine now. Now let's work with the refresh here, resend, and delete it successfully. And let me correct the designing here. I go back to the dashboard. Now there is one thing we need to I need to show you. Now we need to make these two inline and having some space here. So what we need to do here is we need to add the CSS. So for that, now in here in this blade file, we are, if you want to include the CSS, we create a section here. So we say add section, and in section we say styles. All right, and here we say end section. And now in this section we can have style, and I'm going to give the style td dot actions and span. Okay, now I'm going to give it the display, and it's going to be table cell. I'm going to say not important, so it forces it. Now we need to set this table td span. So we have the span, so you can see that we have the span here, but we need to add the class here. So work td class with action with span, so it's going to work on both. So one more thing I need to add here, which is td dot actions span, and then btn button. So here I want margin right to be 5 pixel. Now we need to check if we have the class. We need to add the button class. I think I already added the class if I am not wrong. And we have button class here. And yeah, it should be working fine. Let's see here, refresh. I forgot to include it. If you see here, we added the section here. We need to yield the section as well. So save it and go to the app .blade, because that is the layout file here, and we need to yield this in our app. So here, just in the head where it is closing, here we say at yield, and here we can say styles. So it's going to include that style here. So you can see that it corrected it. So, okay, so now just quickly we correct the images on the home page as well. So here our images I'm showing correctly, because here where we have URLs everything is fine, but where we are getting image from directory it's not showing. So let's correct that. So in dashboard we added this portion, and the same we need to add into the here. So here if we check which view file it was, so it is pages book list. So let's go there. So here, pages, books, and list. Now what we need to do here, we need to put the same code here. So just copy and paste. Now the width is going to be 50 pixel in this case. And here too. Alright, let's go there, refresh. So we corrected the images here. All good, go to dashboard again. And now we have the edit working, delete working. Now it's time we create the functionality for adding a new book. For that I go into the dashboard.plate. Here on top we have the header string up here, and just here I'm going to create a link. So let's add here. It's going to be anchor tag again, and we want, and we say add a new book. And we can use the font awesome here. So for font awesome, they're going to be now here in the URL. It is going to open a model. So here, let's say data target, data first toggle. And what I want to do is model. And data target going to be the ID, add new book model. Alright, so we need to add this. I'm going to give it the class of BDN. Let me BDN, let's call it info. I give it call D2, and also ML auto to in margin 3. Okay, let's go back and then refresh. We have a new button here. Now we can open the model. Just gonna copy this, and I'm going to go back to the code editor. Now here I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to put it in the bottom, and here I'm going to add it here. Alright, just gonna align it correctly. Okay, now we need to give it the same ID, the ID I passed on the top. So here we are saying ID add new book model, so that's going to be the ID of this model. Now let's see, let's go back, refresh, and create. Okay, it opens up. This model is a bit small, so we can add a class in Bootstrap and here to make it bigger. So save that, go back there, refresh, and this model is big now. Now in the body section we need to put a form, so I go back here. To save time, I'm simply going to add the form. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a component instead, because here it is going to be messy. So what we do, we go to the terminal. Here I say clear PHP artisan make component, and let's call this one model slash, and this one is going to be create book, and hit done. Let's go there. So here now in the components, if I go here, we get model the folder, then we have create book. So we need to put our content here, and now we need to do it a bit carefully here. So if I go back to dashboard, that content gonna render inside the body, and we need to submit the form using this button. So what we're gonna do first, I'm going to take this portion to that in the create book, and then there we are going to put it. So what I do simply, I'm going to cut this hole. Let's see which div is. So this div is sending. I put this here. Alright, and here we are going to call. So I need to include the component. For including component, you say x dash and the name of the component. So for example, if I go back here, we have components model and then create book. So generally you will say create dash book and then close it, and it should work. But in this case it is not going to work because we have model as well. It is inside model directory. So we need to say here model dot create dash book. Now this time it should work. Now let's go back to the browser, refresh the page, and yeah, it is just there. Now we can add the form inside here. So let's go back to the code editor. Here we have our model, and I added the same model div outside here because it should be all inside one div, so it doesn't matter so which div it is. So we are using the model div as a main div. Now here I'm going to put the form, and form going to go in here. So let's gonna paste here just to save time, and it is nothing but the HTML form here. Let's see. So we have here form in type, again method post. Then I passed the method bookstore. So if you remember, here again open the route list, and here for storing we need to use this route. So here method going to be post, it's going to name is bookstore, which is passed there, and then we are going to use this controller and function. So here CSRF field for passing the token. Now we have input field for cover. Then we have input text field for title. Then we have content text area here. And then we have text input field for price. Similarly, we have for year published text field. And then at last we have button, which is submitting. Alright, let's save this, go back here and refresh the page. Now hit add, and you can see that form is there. Now I'm getting double buttons, so we need to correct this. So let's go back. So here we have save changes, and we can use those. So simply I'm gonna remove that and save it, refresh. It should be fine, I think. Yeah. So let's say so we have all the things working, we have this going. Now let's go to the function. Now here we go to I'm just gonna go to store method here, and here we are going to first of all we are going to do the try and catch so that we can catch the error. So here simply and then catch pause exception, so that when we get any error we get the log file showing what error is all about. Error and $e get message. Alright, now here we need to pass the logic. So here for now I say return 1 2 3 and go back, and here refresh and add, hit add, we get 1 2 3. Great. Now here let's work with this. First thing first, we need to validate. So here I'm going to add the validator. Now for validator, I'm gonna say validator is equal to validator make. Now we pass request all, and the second is array of rules. That rules we need to check for, and we're going to see all the rules one by one. So here's a title, and there I want required. So this field is required. It needs to be unique as well. So there shouldn't be in books table. There shouldn't be books with the same name more than once. So max 255. Then the cover. Let's check here. I already had this in the updates. So I'm just gonna copy rules from there. So copy from here. And just gonna paste here. So I'm gonna remove the title, and here just gonna make a few changes. So for cover we have image, and here as by default they're going to be no, so we need required here as well. And content is also required for this. Then we have price, which is required. Now the same way we need year published, and we want it to be required as well. Alright, now let's give user error if something not right. So we say here if dollar $validator fails, and then what we want to do, we want to return redirect, and we are going to redirect user back, and then we're going to say with errors. And here we're going to pass validator, and we can also pass with input. Alright, save this, and let's see if the validation works. So we go back here, refresh, and we get the errors. So we didn't provide anything. All the fields are required, and all the fields are. Now go here, and yeah, now what we need to do, we need to let's add some detail here. So I get here a file, let's add this one, test book 1, and add. Okay, now we get widescreen. Let's see what happened. So this time it passed, and then when I crossed here it doesn't know what to do, so we got widescreen. So let's do this. What I do, first of all, we deal with the image. So here I say if $request, and here we pass file, and we are going to check for cover. So if we have the image, what do we want to do? So we want to get the image. So I say $image $request file, and here we want to pass cover. Alright, the same way we need to get the I'm going to create a name, cover name, and it's going to be with the current time. So it's going to be cover name, just to give it the time, dot. And this is totally optional if we want to do it this way or do it any other way, but I'm gonna do this way. So here I simply say get client original extension, sorry, and here it should do the trick. Now let's go further. Now what are we gonna do here?
we want to save it, and for saving it we are going to create the first object. So here we say $book is equal to new book. Now we are creating the class object and using the variable to save it. The benefit of using this approach is that once you save, you can get the ID of the latest saved record. So let me show you what I mean. So here I simply get here $book, and then I say title, and we have title request get title. The same way we're gonna get all of fields here, so I'm just gonna paste like that to save some time. This is going to be content. Then we have price. Copy this, paste here. Then we have year published, and the same goes here. Now we have author underscore ID. Now author ID is going to be random in this case because we are not using any functionality where we set the author. So I'm simply gonna pass random for now. So 1 to 10, and it's going to get a random number from 1 to 10. And now we need the cover. So we are storing the cover name here, so we can pass the cover there too. So $book, and here I say cover, $cover name. I think all is done. Content, price, year published, author ID, cover. So now if we say if $book save, so if it is saved in database, so this detail if saved in database, then this is going to exist. And here that means we have the image already there, so we can get here the destination path. So it's going to be public path, same directory that we used in the update method, asset books, and $book, and here we are going to get the ID. Now if you notice, we are using the $book variable and getting the ID. So the latest record that is saved, if that is saved, this is going to work, and we are going to get the ID of that one. So it is going to create the ID for that. So this is the benefit of using the object here. So now in a moment you're going to see it, how it works. So simply what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to update method, and there we have this code. If directory is not there in base and uploading image, so we need to copy this portion. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to paste here. Alright, so now here I'm going to show you something that is going to help us in coding. So basically what we are doing here, if it is saved, so we go back and go back here like this. So we are saying okay, so if it's saved, then this is the destination path. If this directory is not present, created, then we are checking if not empty, make it empty, and then at last we are saying okay, now it's the time we put this file there. Now we have cover name, so we can pass this cover name here just like that. Okay, now the thing is we are using the same thing in update as well as in create, so we can create a separate method here, and that method is going to deal with this portion of code. So we don't have to write two places. So I do simply go here outside of this method,
So I see here public function, and I say upload image. All right, and this method is going to take care of uploading images. So this portion of code, and what I do is simply cut all of this. Okay, so it saves everything inside it goes here. So you can see that. Now what we need to do, we're going to correct it now. So here we need to pass few arguments. So here I say $this upload image. So this is the function we're passing, and we need, if you remember, we are passing here $image, so we need this variable. So here I call $image as a first argument. So this is required, and we are going to pass it right here. Okay, and the second is the ID, the book ID. So I'm going to call here $ID, and this ID going to be from here. And here in our function, we are going to say $book ID. So you can see that it's passing book ID, which becomes this ID, and then it's going through. We are getting the access of image as well. Now we don't have the cover name, so we can also pass the cover name as well. So here, cover name, $cover name, and here we say $name, and that becomes the cover name. So you can use it here, and it's going to do the same job. So we have our content working. Now we can pass the comments here. So simply, so like this, like we have here. And what I do is simply copy these command and update here. So here, now we are passing the params, and in params we are passing $image. So simply we can say here $image, $ID, and $name. So these are the parameters we are passing, and we are returning nothing in this function, I think. So we are going to call it void. So this function is not returning anything, it's just uploading the files. It uploads the file to the directory. Now this we used here the same way we can go and use in the update, and we will have to check it again as well. So I'll go here. So here the same, we have destination and till here. So now I'm gonna call this function here. So we have $image, it's going here, book ID going here. Now here we are using $name, so we're going to pass $name. So just like that, instead of cover name, we call $name. Now this portion we can delete, the one we have in that code. So move, and this, and this. Alright, so this is going to upload the image now. So let's do this, go back here. So we can change here as well. Let's try that. So we have 1, 3, 4, 5. So here I'd select an image and update, and you can see that we have number 6 as well with image. So it's working. So our update is working with new method that we created. Now let's use and check it in create. In store we already called this method here, so it should be we having saving file, and then it is here uploading the image. So we just are left with the message. So here let's do that. So here I simply say return, and then I'm going to be redirect back. Now when we say redirect back, we want to send some message here. So then with success, and here we can pass bug implemented successfully. Now here, like we are storing log, we can also pass this, and first it's going to log the error, and after that we say, okay, something went wrong. And this is going to be type error. Alright, so the same way I'm going to pass this in all logs so that we get the error whenever we get the, so here as well. Okay, so if I go to the dashboard, we go and check here, we are checking for session success and session error, so it's going to give us the error if there is any issue. Let's create a new book now, so I refresh the page here. Now let's add a book, so I create this image, done some test book for a new book create. Let's add price to 45 and that's it. So book added successfully, and yeah, it is now currently showing at the end, you can see here, so we can correct this as well. So this is the dashboard, so we need to go into the controller, so we go dashboard controller. Here we are getting the pagination. So we did this in the book controller, if you remember. In the index method we are using the order by here, so we can use the same order by for dashboard controller. So we go back to dashboard controller and pass here order by, and then with author. Now let's see if it works. Refresh. Now if I go to a dashboard, so yeah, you can see that the one we just added 57 seconds ago, it's showing up here. So create is working, edit is working, delete is working. Now let's add a button here so that we can come back to dashboard when we are on any other page. So it doesn't allow us, if I am in edit, we need to go to here, dashboard should be there. So for this we need to go inside the layout file, so I close, and here is the layout file, and if you see we have the one link here, the same way we can have another link here, and I'm going to call it small tag and then dashboard, and simply it's going to take us to the URL is for dashboard. If we go, there is slash home, so we're just going to pass that here for now, and it should be fine. It should sort the issue. So now if we are in edit, we go to dashboard, we come here right there, and delete is fine. Yeah, so far we have the functionality working as we were expecting, so we are updating the image. Alright, so if I go to the single view, image is not coming here, so let's correct that as well. Now this, to see the page, we simply can check here. However, I know it's a single, so it's pagebook single, so we can go there. And here we need to change this. It's the same way we did in the other pages. So if I go to the list page, we have this portion, and we can just copy and paste this from here to there. So I'm just going to copy this, and so this is the list page, and we need to go in single. Now we are using it in multiple places, so first let's see if it is working. So if I go back here, refresh, image is there. Now we are using the same thing multiple places, so we can again create a component for it. So let's create a component. So and here I say clear first, and then we run the command php artisan make component, and I call it bookcore.
created this component. Now let's go to the components directory. There we have it. And now we need to put from here, let's just gonna cut this from here, and book cover just gonna put here. Alright, so just align it fine. Let's a moment. Okay, now let's include it. So it's going to be x dash and then the name. So for the name we have book dash cover and dash image. Okay, and we need to close it, otherwise it won't work. Now I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go in single and I'm going to paste there too. Yeah. Currently it is not going to work because we created the component and we have the component, but if you watch it carefully, we are passing $book cover and $book ID and as well as $book title. So we need to pass these values in this component, otherwise we are going to get the error. So to pass these values, what we need to do, we go here and where we define this, we simply say here. So I know that everything, these all three values are inside the book, so I can pass only $book. So what I can do here is I simply say space and then here column book equals, and I'm going to pass here $book like this. Alright, so this way it is going to pass there, but the work is not done yet. We need to go into the HTTP app and then the views where we have the class created for this one. So here we have book cover image. Now here this class should have the first letter capital, so let's correct that, book cover image, and here it should be book cover image. Fine. Now here what we need to do, we need to define these. So here first I'm going to say public $book. Alright, and we can even pass a comment here. So this is the book data. Now here what I do in the constructor, I say that when this class is going to be used, what we want to do, we want here $book, and here we say $this book is equal to $book. Alright, now let's test it. Go to the browser, refresh the page, and you can see that we still have all the content working. So we passed here in the single the book this way, then we in the class we set the book to the variable when the constructor is called, when we create the instance, so it is going to work. And here in the list page we are not passing book, so there I think it's going to give us error. You can see that we are getting error. So to correct this, we just need to pass it like this, go back in the list page, paste here, save, go back, refresh, and all is working. So now let's see the example of Mutator. So using Accessor, we change the format of time here in the model the same way we are going to define a mutator here, and it is going to work whenever you insert data in the database. So let's see an example. So here I simply say public function and I call it, and in Mutator you use set instead of get. So I say set, I'm going to work with the title field, I call attribute, and here I'm going to pass $value, just the same way we did before. Here we are going to say $this, and then attribute, we are going to pass title and equal to string,
This is a Laravel helper function, upper, and I'm going to pass $value inside it. It is going to convert it to uppercase. And now we don't have it in the page included, so I'm going to say here use and illuminate support, and then there is string. So that's it. Alright, so this is now ready to fire. It is now let's save a book, and let's see if it saves the title to capital, all letters uppercase. So let's go here, refresh, and here I say add new book. I say here Mutator in Laravel. I'm just gonna copy this. So I'm gonna get an image here, some price, and some year, and add book added. Now you notice here everything is uppercase instead of previously it was capitalized. Now it is uppercase. So this is done using Mutator. However, this is just a basic example to show you how Mutator works. You can have some complex functionality using Mutator, but just to show you Mutator. In the same way we want to put a comment there. Accessor. Alright, so working fine. Alright guys, another thing I want to discuss about here is the route naming. So here, if you see in our web.php, we have this route, which is /home, and here we are giving it a name. So you can give the name to your route this way. So if you want to give the name to this route, for example, just put a name here, and then you can say, let's say, main. So we call it main route, and we can use it with this name now. So for example, if I go to layout and here app.blade, so here we are going on clicking on this, it takes us to /URL. So here instead of using this, I can say route, and I'm going to pass the name main. That's it. So we're going to save this, and this link is on the dashboard. So here, if I go log in, so this is the link that is. So if I click here, it still takes me to the main page. And if I comment this code here, you will see it is going to disappear from there. So that's the same link. So this is how you use the naming of route, and this is also very useful. If you see something like this, you can check in your web.php like which route it is. So it's working fine for us. Let's talk about middleware. We haven't checked middleware so far. So here we have route /home. So when we go to there, currently in the web.php we are not seeing any kind of authentication or middleware applied here. But if you go to the dashboard controller, here in the constructor we have a middleware. So here we are using it. Now you can use it here like this, or you can pass it in the route as well. So here you can pass here middleware auth. So it is going to work the same way. So I'm not going to remove from here, and I'm going to check what this auth is doing. So to find out where this auth is, basically we need to go into the app directory, http, and there we have middleware folder. So here inside it we have the middlewares. Now here outside of this folder we will see kernel.php. If you click this file, you will see the list of middlewares, and these are the middlewares, those are working. Now here we have middleware group for web application, for API, and also we have the middleware given here with the names. So you can see here we have auth, and that is going to app http middleware authenticate class, which is the class here. If I go there, you can see here we are redirecting the user. So if user is not logged in, it's going to be redirected to login page. So this is the middleware, how it works. So let's create a basic middleware. So for example, currently if I go to dashboard, we are accessing the dashboard on /home. So I want to pass some kind of parameter along so that only users with the value, particular value, will be allowed to access the dashboard. So let's create a middleware. Alright, so I'm in the main directory of my project. In terminal here I say php artisan make middleware, and I want to give it a name check user. So it's going to be a class, that's why we are putting the capital letter here. And I create this, and you can see that it added the class there. It's in the middleware folder. Now if I open this, it looks something like this. Now as compared to the authenticate, it's quite similar, but here we are redirecting, and here in check user we are taking the user to the next step. So what we can do here is we can get the user data using request, and we can do something. So what we do, we simply say here $request, and I want to get the input, and I want to get a token from user. So user needs to provide this. So first I'm going to dd this to see if we can get the value. So just gonna save here, and we can comment this out. However, it's not gonna execute because dd going to end the process here. At this point, this middleware is not going to do anything because we haven't registered it. So we need to go into the kernel.php file. Now here we need to call our middleware. Now here you will see 3 arrays. First, on the top, this fires on every route. So here you see it says the application global HTTP middleware stack middleware are run during every request on your application. So if you put here, you will be running it on every request. Here we have another array, which is middleware groups. Here we have web group and API group. So currently we are working on a web group. If I pass the middleware here, it is going to fire on every web route, and we're going to see in a moment. Now here at the bottom we have route middleware, and we have array of middlewares with the names on it. So we need to pass here our middleware first of all. So I'm going to pass here user, and here I'm going to say check user. So this way we now have registered user middleware. Now if I save this, it's registered. Now if I copy this and put this inside this web here, now what's gonna happen, it is going to fire on every web route. Now what happens if I save this, go back, refresh, you will see that it is running here. So in our code editor, if I go to check user, we are dd something here, and we haven't provided token, so it is null right now, and that is happening on the main page. We haven't told our application to run it on the main page, but it is happening because this is a web route. So we need to remove it from there. It is only useful here if you want to run it on every web route, but here we want to run it when we want. So here we say these middleware may be assigned to groups or used individually. So we need to assign these. So how we can assign these? Let's see. So I removed it, I go back here, refresh, it's back. Now if I want to assign it to a particular route, what I need to do, I need to use this name. I go to web route, here I say simply middleware, and I pass the name, check user. Now it is going to work only on this particular route. So let's see. Now we go here, refresh, it works just fine. Now if I go to dashboard, notice it is giving us null because we have /home on top. And if I pass here some parameter or something, and it is going to give us the token, so it's working here. Now if you don't want to pass middleware here, you can pass in the controller as well. So we can cut from here, just gonna remove from here, save this, go to the dashboard controller where we already have a middleware. In this array I'm going to add one more, and that's going to be check user. Now I save this, go back, you will see that it is keep on working, it's not stopped. So if I remove this, we have null. Now if I remove it from this array, save, go back, refresh, we have it working. So this is how your middleware works. You simply pass in a constructor, like we are passing in constructor here, and in the array you can do this way, or you can pass in the web.php. But be careful, if you pass in here, it is going to work every time in every web route. So you will have to be careful about that. Now, as currently we have the token input coming from user, and anything user passes here becomes a token. So we can verify the user if user has a valid token. So for example, if I say here, if, and I put here request input token, just like this, and I'm going to put it equal to, let's say we are authenticating that if user has a token 123, then user is allowed. In that case, we can simply put here request return to next, so that user can go ahead and work. Otherwise, we are going to say return abort 404. So redirect to 404 page. We are not allowing or authenticating the user. So this can be done here. So let's see. So I save this, go back to the page, and we don't have 123, we have some string attached to it. So if I refresh, we get 404 as expected. Now if you want to see only on 123, you can see user comes to the page. So we can save this token or any dynamic token you generate for the user in the database, and you can verify if the same user is logging in and can go to the dashboard. So that functionality can be placed using middleware. So this is just an idea to give you how things work. Here's another concept of route model binding and dynamic routes I just want to discuss with you here. So let's see. So basically, when I go to the main page here, we say are you sure you want to delete, and it deletes it on click of this. So if I go to the function, I go to the books controller, and in the destroy method and here, what happened is we are passing the ID and then we are deleting the book. So for example, if I say here, I simply say DD, and we are getting the $book here. I'm going to pass this here in DD, and we are going to see what happens. So I go to the application. Here we say we want to delete this one. I click yes. Now you see here we have the ID that we are passing, and here we have the complete book model. So this is the concept of route model binding. We are passing the model here, and Laravel is identifying the ID, and it is doing behind the scenes, and it is doing the job, and it is basically deleting it. So basically what is happening, it is doing for us, it's saying like find $ID. So by default it is going to look for $ID, and basically in the database that it is going to look for a book with that ID. So we have 51, it will go and look for the ID of 51 and going to delete that one. So if you want to set some other field, you can do that. We have these values. Okay, so it's matching the ID with the database, and if here I go and we say where ID equals 51, so we get the record. So we have the same record here that we have here, so you can see that. Now if you want to change it, and what we want, the Laravel finds the record based on some other field. So let's do this. So Laravel find the record based on author ID. So what we need to do in that case, we need to go into the book model, and here we need to define a function. So here we say public function, and we are going to say get route key name. Alright, and we're going to pass, we're just going to say here return, and we are going to say here author underscore ID. And now if you go here and refresh, we get 404 because it is not getting any ID author where ID is 51. So if I go here and run the same, where author underscore ID is 51, find it. So we get no record. So if I go to the table back and open a new tab, we have the author ID 945. So we can pass, let's say 9 here. So if I pass 9, you will see that we have the result back. So this is getting the post. So basically now it is getting it through because we changed it to author ID 9. So if I move this from here and refresh again, you can see the post is changing because it's now from ID 9. So if I go back here and look for where ID 9, so you get the same post. So you get the point here. This is the route model binding where we just pass the model, and Laravel is looking for by default for ID, and if you want to change by default, you just need to add ID to the model by what field you want values to be working. Now there is also a concept of dynamic routing. So routes you create dynamic. Basically here we use the resource. So if we want to work with dynamic routing, so we will do something like this. So here, if we see here, if I go to single post, we are going to books in 52, and then here books in 51. So here it is handled by source. So what I do basically, I'm going to comment this, and now it is going to be not going to work. So we are going to just to see the dynamic routing, I'm going to add a route here. So we say route get, and basically what we are going to say, we're going to say books and slash, we are going to pass here ID because that's what we are getting, and then here we are going to pass the model and the function just like that. So I'm going to copy this from here. I'm going to paste it here. Alright, but I need to change it. So if I go to the book controller, currently it is working through the show method because of the resource. But to show the concept of dynamic routing, I want to create a custom method here just to demonstrate. So here I say function, and it's going to be public function. So public function, I say single post or book page. Pass here $ID as we are passing in the argument, return, and we say view, and view we are going to pass the file. So here in show method we passed this, so I'm just going to pass this way here. Alright, so here we are passing book, so we need to get it because in this case we are passing the ID. So we are not using the route model binding, we are just passing the ID. So here we are going to say book where ID, and then we say $ID and say get and $book. And here we need to pass the custom method we are using, so I'm going to pass that single book page. Now here it is going to get it and going to pass. So when I refresh here, it is giving us error because the way the data previously was working is changed. But we can see this if I simply copy this in here, dd, and go there. So we can see that we are getting the data. So we can display the data as we want if we want to show in there. So the main point of dynamic routing is that we pass the ID and then we use the ID and then we get the data accordingly. So for each time when we go to different posts, so if I go in this post, the ID is different, and then when I go in this post, ID is different, and the data is going to change accordingly based on ID, like ID 4 this time, and the title. So it's like dynamically coming, so it's the dynamic routes that's working, and we are getting data. Now in our application currently we are using resource. That's the reason I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to comment this one. We might add it in future, but for now I'm just going to use resource because we already have a show method which is dealing with this view. So if I go refresh, we have the view working from resource. Hope you got the understanding with the dynamic routing as well as the route model binding. I will try to create a separate video with a better example. So hope you got the understanding. Alright, our application is working just smoothly. We already added the validations. If I go here, we check and try to upload any other file. It's a text file, and I leave all the fields empty and try to add it. We also have the file validation as well. You can see that must be an image and the types of formats we are allowing. Last but not least, I want to talk about the Laravel Debugbar. We haven't used much in this project, but I just want to give you a heads up so that when you work on your project, you know how to use it in many places. So here we have the Debugbar, and we check the blade file using this. So our views files all come here. So we have dashboard, and this page is dashboard dot blade, so we can see the directory, go there and work with that. If we want to check the route, we can check here, and we know that controller is controller, and this function is coming from here, dashboard controller index method. So you can trace your problems where this is coming from. If you get some error, you can see the queries and number of queries, and you can work with the performance of your application. So if we are selecting here, we have 4 queries going on. If you in some way we can decrease it or increase the performance, we will see these kind of example coming videos. But for now, you can check here the performance. We have models. You can check here what models are being used. If we go to session, you will see some information here. If you put some values in session, those values you will see here. Currently we didn't use much session information, so we are not having any here. Now here we have the requests. So we get the status code, we get the status text, we also have content type, and the you can see we're passing tokens, so it's taking as token, and we can use this. We have headers, we can use that, server information. So this debug bar is very useful. You should explore and check yourself more about it. So with practice you will get better. So we have covered a lot of ground. We installed the project, we saw the routes, how routes work, we even named the routes. We see model view and controllers, how we transfer data. We worked with migration, we created a database, we made the database connection, we use Laravel Liquid, and using models we got the data, we checked Accessor mutators, we created relay files, we use Laravel Debugger to debug the application. We also see the config file as well as other config files in our applications where we can make changes if you want to change your default database or other configuration. We saw how we can upload image, and we already saw how we can create directory and clean directory. We also checked that how we can create a dashboard behind a login so that user only access only when he is logged in. We created components, we passed the data in the components, we created a few functions and used them many places to have dry in practice. We worked with Laravel relationships. We saw some code, good practice in this project. We also checked the validations and our book management project. So in the project we displayed the content including images, we added pagination, we used Bootstrap 5 configuration, we worked with the show, edit, delete, so it was a totally crud application, so we did it. We also worked with dynamic routing, we worked with route model binding, so we also named the routes. Validation is working on the update and create in both forms on every field. So we have file validation as well. We just saw that we can check if user tries to upload the other file other than image. So image upload. That's we did. We also use the resource route and also the middleware. We even created a middleware to get the token from the user. We authenticating user. We saw logs, how we can use logs to catch errors. We saw components, file management. So we have the for each book we have separate directory and there an image goes. And we also use the try in practice, don't repeat yourself. And we used same function in more than one places to follow the practice rules. We work with Laravel relationships. We use the packages as well to work with the debugging. It's a Laravel Debugbar where you can check the routes. And yeah, so that's it. That's all what it is. And I hope this video been helpful to you. In the coming videos, I'm going to extend the more functionality, including Vue.js, as well as we are going to have more complex and more real world projects. So subscribe this channel, get in touch, and stay connected with Zoxbase. You can visit us on Zox.base and support this channel so that you see these kind of videos more in coming future. Thank you for watching. If you like the content of this channel and you want me to create more videos like this, please support me on Patreon. You can also subscribe this channel, like this video, and share with others. Thank you for watching.
And hope is not enough.